Today, I want to share some great news that could bring significant relief to millions of Americans, especially those who rely on Social Security, supplemental security income, SSI disability benefits, and other government assistance programs. I'm talking about a potential expansion of a program that had been incredibly beneficial a few years ago, and now it seems like lawmakers are considering bringing it back. This news is particularly important for the estimated 25 to 50 million people across the country who depend on low-income benefits, including Social Security retirement, SSDI Social Security disability insurance, survivors' spousal benefits, SSI, and those receiving support from the Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, and Railroad Retirement Board, RARB. It's been a tough couple of years, and for those of us who work with low-income and fixed-income households, the situation has only gotten worse as inflation skyrocketed and living costs continued to rise. Now, there's a glimmer of hope on the horizon. Let's break it down and understand the situation in detail. First, let's take a quick trip back to 2020 and early 2021. Do you remember the Affordable Connectivity Program, ACP? This program was launched to help low-income households afford the internet. It was a life-changer for millions of families who were already struggling to make ends meet. At its peak, the ACP provided $50 per month to help cover the costs of internet access, making it possible for households that could not afford the steep prices to stay connected to the world. That was crucial, especially during the pandemic, when so many people had to rely on the internet for work, education, healthcare, and social services. However, as quickly as it arrived, the ACP was abruptly cut. By May of 2023, the program ran out of funding and ended. It wasn't because there wasn't a demand for it, quite the opposite, in fact. The program was incredibly popular, with millions of households enrolled. In total, about 23 million households were receiving benefits under the ACP, which was just a portion of the households that were eligible. Yet, despite the evident need, the government shut it down, claiming they had run out of money. While it's true that government budgets have limits, it's hard not to question how quickly money can disappear when it comes to supporting those in need. Well, good news, it looks like the program may be coming back, and not just in the form it was before. A number of lawmakers have been discussing the possibility of reintroducing the ACP with additional funding, new eligibility requirements, and updated benefits. In fact, they are considering making the program available to even more households than before. While details are still being worked out, this could have a massive impact on the millions of people who would benefit from access to affordable internet. The possibility of bringing back the ACP is being discussed in the context of the 2025 federal budget, which was initially due in September of 2024, but has now been pushed to March 2025. This extension means there's still a window for lawmakers to finalize decisions on the federal budget, and one of the proposals floating around is to extend and improve the ACP. If this happens, it could benefit millions of people who have been struggling to keep up with the rising costs of living and maintaining access to essential services. So, what might this new version of the ACP look like? There are a couple of potential changes that could be made. First, lawmakers are considering adjusting the income threshold for eligibility. Under the previous program, you needed to be at or below 150% of the federal poverty line to qualify, but this time around, there may be more stringent requirements. For example, eligibility could be limited to those with incomes at or below the federal poverty line, making it more difficult to qualify for the benefits. While that may exclude some families who need help, it would still provide assistance to the most vulnerable households. Another change that might be discussed is the amount of financial aid provided to recipients. The original ACP offered a $50 monthly subsidy, but the amount was reduced over time to just $14 by the time the program ended. Now, there are talks of reducing it even further, with some suggesting a possible $9.99 per month subsidy. While $9.99 might still be helpful, it's hard not to feel like it's not enough. For many families, $10 doesn't go very far when it comes to paying bills. It's not a lot when you compare it to the cost of internet service, which often exceeds $50 per month for basic plans. It's important to remember, though, that any amount of financial support can make a difference. Even $10 a month could help ease the burden for families who are already stretched thin. That said, the challenge would be ensuring that people actually enroll in the program and take advantage of it. When the program first ended, only 23 million households out of the 50 million eligible households actually signed up. A big reason for this low enrollment rate was the decreasing value of the subsidy. As the benefit amount was reduced over time, fewer people saw it as worth their time to apply and deal with the bureaucracy involved in receiving the subsidy. If lawmakers move forward with the new version of the ACP, it's likely that the number of enrollees will again depend on the amount of the subsidy. If it stays at $10 or below, the enrollment numbers may be lower than they were before. But on the flip side, if the subsidy increases or eligibility is expanded to include more households, we could see higher participation rates and more families being able to access affordable internet. The situation is still evolving, but the key point here is that there's hope. For millions of households that have struggled with the cost of staying connected to the internet, this could be a lifesaver. With many services now available only online, such as virtual doctor visits, job applications, and government assistance, it's more important than ever to make sure that low-income and fixed-income households have access to the internet. The ability to stay connected is not just a luxury anymore, it's a necessity. One of the biggest challenges with the previous ACP was the lack of funding. At its peak, the program was helping millions of households, but when the money ran out, so did the support. This time, lawmakers are hoping to secure more stable funding so that the program doesn't face the same fate. Whether through the federal budget or another legislative avenue, the goal is to keep people connected, especially as we continue to navigate economic hardships. At the same time, we should keep in mind that not everyone will be eligible for the program, and some families may find that the subsidy doesn't cover their entire internet bill. Still, it's a step in the right direction, and it's a program that many low-income families would greatly benefit from. It's also important to keep in mind that lawmakers will likely continue to adjust the details as they get closer to finalizing the budget, so we can expect to hear more updates as March approaches. If you're one of the millions of people who are eagerly waiting for any kind of financial relief or assistance, this could be your chance to get back on track. Whether it's the CP or another program aimed at helping low-income families, we'll continue to monitor the situation and bring you the latest updates. In the meantime, I want to thank you for being part of this community. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel so you can stay informed about the latest financial news, government programs, and tips for making the most of your resources. And if you know anyone who could benefit from the information in this video, please share it with them. Stay tuned, and we'll continue to bring you the best and most up-to-date financial news to help you navigate these uncertain times.